Hey guys, and welcome to my top 10 Doctor Who companions list. This was very difficult to make because I love all these companions so much. So some of them didn't make the cut, and it was really hard to decide. Keep in mind, I haven't seen every companion. I've seen the first two seasons of Classic Who, most of the third Doctor's era, parts of Tom Baker, including the Key to Time story arc, and odd bits of the fifth, sixth, and seventh Doctor here and there. So yes, I'm not all the companions have a fair chance here because I haven't seen all of them to the same extent. But let's get into this anyway. So starting at number 10, we have Graham. Now, I hated Series 11. That is no secret. You can check out my Series 11 review if you want to know more about my opinion on that. But underneath the dumpster fire that was that season, there was the wonderful gem that was Graham. Graham was witty, sarcastic, but he was also caring and sensitive. If Graham was in a better series, he could have been spectacular. And but Bradley Walsh really managed to stand out despite what he was given to work with, and Graham wasn't afraid to challenge the Doctor, and he easily held his own in the TARDIS. His character outshone the Doctor by miles this last season, although this season that wasn't actually very difficult, since we've got one of the weakest Doctors of all time. But so he basically won by default because he was really the only well-rounded character in this last season. But nevertheless, I really enjoyed watching him, so he's managed to make the top 10. I just wish he was in a better season because I have no reason or any desire to rewatch Series 11 whatsoever. Coming in at number 9, we have Amy Pond. Amy was a flawed and very human companion. She was childlike and immature at times, but she came to develop into this really caring and really strong individual. She was feisty, she was cunning, and she was courageous and a fighter. Her relationship with Rory is the best done romance in Doctor Who history, and actually the only one I actually care about. And you can really feel the love that they have for each other. Her dynamic with Rory and Eleven and River, it brought about one of the best hardest teams. Coming in at 8, I haven't seen much of her, but what I have seen, I have loved so much. Leela was a fierce warrior with a quick temper and a ruthless nature. She is probably one of the most capable companions of all time, and just a legendary badass who brought brawn to complement the Doctor's intellect. Their relationship is one of the more interesting, simply because the Doctor and Leela couldn't be more different, but they seem to get along so well anyway. And I really look forward to seeing more of her when I get into Tom Baker's episodes. Coming in at number 7, we have Barbara Wright. So she's one of the originals. Barbara was surprisingly strong-willed, independent, and really stood at her ground in the 60s. Despite what Twice Upon a Time would have you believe, Doctor Who had a lot of kick-ass women in the 60s, and Barbara was as tough as they came. She wasn't afraid to tell the Doctor off, and was basically the TARDIS mother for the first two seasons. Her dynamic with One and Ian is unrivaled, with only Amy, Rory, Eleven, and River coming close. So coming in at 6, we have Romana. I've only really seen Mary Tam's version of Romana. Other than City of Death, I've only seen Lalla Ward like once. But I really love her. I love her character, and she's probably the only character that can be considered smarter than the Doctor. But she lacks his experience, which still gives the Doctor the chance to stand up and save the day there. And I believe, given time, Romana could become one of the most formidable forces in the universe. She was sassy, sarcastic, and she had a lot of fun one-upping the Doctor, and it felt less like a grandfather and a child like earlier companions, but more like a big brother and a little sister. Her damsel in distress moments in later stories do prevent her from being a bit higher on this list, though, as sometimes she did end up relying on the Doctor a little too much for my liking. However, out of every companion on this list, she is the one I most want to see again in the new series. and that's why I brought her back in my rewriting Gallifrey video. Please check that out. Basically, it's just me rewriting the entire Time Lord story arc from Series 7 onwards. Although now she would probably end up returning as a man or something. Coming in at 5, we have River Song. She's a flirtatious, independent, and highly capable individual, yet sometimes she's ruthless. She's a badass archaeologist who stood on equal footing to the Doctor in intellect and resourcefulness. She stole every moment she was on screen, and she was a fun and enjoyable presence. She also has the distinction of having the only Doctor companion romance that I actually like. Take that, Rose. She had great chemistry with all three of her Doctors, and she just has one of the best story arcs of any character. And for me, she was part of my second favourite TARDIS team of all time, which was 11, Amy, Rory, and River. I just loved every second she was on screen. Coming in at 4, we have Liz Shaw. She is a smart, intelligent, and worthy companion. She collaborated with the Doctor on almost equal terms and easily held her own when the Time Lord was in the room. She was compassionate and strong-willed. She was just pure gold, and it's too bad she only stayed for a season. She never even got a trip in the TARDIS, and it really is just too bad because as much as I love Jo, I would have loved to have seen Liz squaring off against the Master in Jon Pertwee's later seasons. Coming in at 3, we have Captain Jack Harkness, the immortal hero. Jack was a ruthless and unstoppable force who didn't need anyone. He's charming, flirtatious, yet ruthless and brutal. This dark hero had only a short time in the TARDIS, but he is easily one of the most iconic characters in Doctor Who history. Coming in at 2, I know he's not technically an all-time companion, but Wilfred Mott is such a legend, it would be unforgivable not to include him. An old soldier, Wilf was sensitive, caring and wise, but also a witty, warm grandfather to Donna Noble. He was loyal, protective, he's a fierce friend to the Doctor, and he has such a high respect for the Doctor and was even willing to die for him. He even begged the Doctor not to sacrifice himself. And as an old man, he is probably the only companion to really consider the full gravity of the Doctor's age and what that means for the Doctor. He's funny and warm, he's lovable, and Wilf is honestly the biggest missed opportunity for a full-time companion. I would have loved to have seen a whole season with Wilf in the TARDIS. Before I go on to number 1, let's play a What's Mojo here and give this list a few honourable mentions. So first we've got Vicky, a sweet innocent orphan who made a loyal and brave companion. Got Martha, an intelligent, capable and extremely strong-willed companion who went through quite a bit of hardship for the Doctor in 1914, then again during the Master's reign, and she's only really brought down off this list because of her obsessive pining after the Doctor. Rory, the highly capable, skilled warrior with a love for Amy, it's made Doctor Who's best romance and the only one I actually care about. The only reason he's not on this list is because the rest of the companions are so strong. And Donna Noble, a hot, fiery, but loyal and compassionate woman, a woman who brought out the best in the Doctor, while he brought out the best in her. And finally, at number 1, we have Ian Chesterton. No, Sarah Jane isn't on this list. Honestly, I don't see what makes her so iconic, so sorry. But yeah, Ian is the definitive companion. The original, you might say. Ian basically did the first Doctor's job for him and more or less made the Doctor who he is now. He's heroic, resourceful, brave, and a cunning warrior. Ian was a fearless badass who didn't need the Doctor, but the Doctor definitely needed him. And there is no companion stronger or braver. Ian was also part of my all-time favourite TARDIS team, which was Vicky, Ian, Barbara, and the First Doctor. The original one is definitely the best in this case. So, that was my list of top 10 Doctor Who companions. Let me know if you agree with my list, and I will see you all again next time. Bye.